Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com, and welcome back to our build series on our 2019 Can-Am Outlander 1000R. Today, we're going to tackle swapping out the tires on this beast. The ones that are on there are as hard as a brick, and they really have a rough ride, just a little bit that I was able to use the machine before we brought it in here and tore it apart. So today we're going to fix that, and we're also going to change out the bead block itself because, well, we're going to go through a color change. So if you're ready, I'll go break out my tire tools and we're going to dive into this project. So let's go. Now I can probably guess what you're already thinking. What tires did he decide to go with? Well, before I get started, let me roll them over here and show you real quick. Now I went with a set of tires from Maxxis, but I did upsize them on the front and rear by one size. The rears are supposed to be 27 by 10 by 14, and I've gone to 27 by 12 by 14. And on the front, we have 27 by 10s going on. And of course, as you can see, I had to go with the Zilla edition. So, step one, let's go ahead and get that valve stem out, and I will be replacing the entire valve unit as well. All right, let's start breaking her down. Now, it's not that important when you're taking this off, especially considering we're replacing this ring on the outside, but it will be critical that we tighten it down in the right pattern. But we'll talk more about that later. But for right now, let's just get this thing out of the way. I can tell you just from the way that those came out, they weren't down even. They were not torqued correctly, so to speak. There we go. Next comes the not so fun part, but I'm going to show you a little device that we have that's going to make separating the bead from the rim just a little bit easier. This little guy, the Beadbuster, it does exactly what it says it does, and it does a damn good job of it, so let's put it to work. Just get that up under the edge, get it started, and then this one will ring it in. I think she's in there now. Let's see what we got. I think it was easier to change out tractor tires on the farm. Yes, I worked on a tobacco farm when I was much, much younger. Yeah. She reaches in and just pushes the bead down away from the outside of the rim. Very cool, ingenious device. All right, so let's move it down a little bit further, cram it back in there, and keep going. There we go. Is it as fast as a tire machine? No, but it doesn't cost as much as one either. So that's about a third of it. Let's get out our soft blow hammer. See if we can finish knocking it down the rest of the way. Gentle persuasion. Woohoo! We having fun yet? All right, get on out of there. This stuff is your friend. There you go. Come on. Give up. Well, there you go. See, even an old man can do it with the right tools. Now, before I just jump ahead and throw that brand new tire on the scratched up rim, let's see if we can clean it up a little bit, maybe add some paint. All right, before we start cleaning it up, let's go ahead and get that valve stem out. Come on, there you go. Now, suffice it to say, this is going to be boring, but I'm going to spend some time getting this cleaned up, lightly sanded just to get some of these bigger gouges out of it, and then just give it a coat of paint, and then we can start putting it back together. So I'll be back in a little bit. Exciting stuff, right? All right, guys, we've got her cleaned up, some of the scratches sanded out. We're going to throw some paint on it, see how that turns out. If I like it, then we'll move forward. All right, guys, we are back from paint, and I may be qualified for a job at Mako now. I think it's good enough for our ride. What do y'all think? Let's go ahead and grab our hardware and start putting this together. I wasn't real thrilled with the retaining bolts for the clamp, so I went ahead and bought new ones. Not that expensive, plus I can be sure when I go to torque them that it's not lying to me because the threads were either a little bit corroded or dirty. And before we actually put this together, I'm going to go through and go all the way around and clean out the threads so we know we'll be getting accurate torque. So out with the old, in with the new. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and get our valve stem in. Not that I've ever forgotten to install one before I put on a tire, but I've heard that it's happened. See if we can find a soft-handled screwdriver to get in here to pull against so we don't mess up our new paint. And I think this one will do the trick. There we go. We're in. All right, next we're going to use some of our tire lube, although I know it's going to be easy to get around this first edge. This stuff will help it seat, bead, and then it also ends up helping it seal up. And I sprayed it around the bead of the tire as well, so it should go on without a problem. Simple. Went on a lot easier and the other one came off, didn't it? To say the least. All right, now let's let the fun begin. Let's bring over tire changing stand, mainly because I need to put some muscle or weight, which I have plenty of, to push in so we can get this thing mounted up. Keep in mind we're kind of playing a balancing act on that lower section. All right, so we've got all these cleaned out. And now Let's see if we can get 4 of them started. Once we have that, it's going to be game over. Y'all ready? Let's see if we can get one here. So far, so good. Now, let's get her back on the other table, start bringing her down. All right, guys, so what do you think of my color choice? I wish it had a little bit more red in it, but I think it'll be good once we get it all finished up. So now what we're gonna do is go ahead and start each one of those, get everything even, and then go around and around just to get it seated, and then we will start the torque sequence. And there's actually a first torque, a second torque, and then a third final torque. Now the sequence for the first and second, they're the same. And instead of trying to follow me around on the camera the entire time, I'll actually pop up the torque sequence on screen where you can hit pause and then get yours taken care of. Sound like a deal? All right, guys, you see that all these are in at this point. Because I'm going back in time after the fact to tell you to put anti-seize on each one of these bolts. So we'll see you at the correct timestamp in a couple of minutes. A little Back to the Future thing going on. What I'm looking for now is just to make sure I'm centered on the rim before I start clamping it down. And that's what those little lines are telling me right there. See if we need to do any final adjustment before we start bringing it down. All right, 1, 2, 3, and then some. 1, 2, and then some. So it looks like we're just a little bit off. And what I'm looking at are these little lines right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That looks like it. So I think we've got it centered in the middle of the tire. So now we can start bringing them down. Now we already had 4 in there. I'm going to even it up by just getting these to touch the rim. All right, that's everybody seated. And now we'll do a turn and just go to each one. So the torque sequence, it basically goes 1, 2, 3, 4, shifts, 5, 6, and continues that pattern, jumping back one time in one direction and then forward the next direction. So let me put that on screen to where you can look at it for a good long while, hit pause, and then follow that pattern all the way around. We're gonna call that where nylon 6 play rating is #1 on my rim. So first time around, we're taking it to 3 Newton meters. So let's go. We get to do it again at 6 Newton meters. Same scenario. Let's go. All right, that should be it. And now for the final, we take it to 10.5 Newton meters, and we just go all the way around. Start with #1. should be it. And we just want to verify that we're even all the way around. Otherwise she's going to hop up and down the trail like a bunny rabbit. But I think we've got it. That looks even all the way around. So I'm happy. Next, let's get in our actual valve. Then we're going to seat the opposite bead, which won't take much, and then set final pressure. And guess what, guys? We're done. Well, except for the fact I have to do 3 more, but you get the idea. All right. We don't want to exceed 36 psi to get this to bead, but I'm betting it's going to do it well before then. Let's go. All right, we're at 20. Let's see where we are. Usually hear that ka-tonk, but there it is. And yes, we are beaded. And according to the manual, the rears should be set to 10 psi. In the front, when you get up there to do that one, they're supposed to be set to 7. So we were at 16, even though that gauge said 20. That's why getting an accurate gauge is important. Let's bring her on down. Oh, getting close. A little bit more. 10.0. Now I'm happy. Well, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video, although I still have a lot of work to do. Well, listen, if you need any of these parts or tools or anything else for your machine, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. Have any questions or comments about this video? Leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And hey, if you like what you see, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with that notification bell. That way you'll know when we drop the next video. Well, listen, we just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.